I'm about ready to do some work on my ZG1000. What I'm going to be doing to this particular bike, and I'm going to try to take you through all the steps on it, is I'm going to rebuild the front end on it. I got tires, shocks, bearings. I bought a parts bike a few months ago, and it's totally disassembled. I bought it for a couple of $100. The guy that was selling it thought that there was some engine issues with it. So come to find out, it was just a cam chain tensioner. So I got the thing running really good. 25,000 miles on it. Put that motor to the side. The bike behind me, which is the one we're going to be doing the work on, I bought that with 68,000 on the clock. Speedometer didn't work. The cable was bad. So I replaced the cable, and the speedometer still didn't work. Getting inside the speedometer, all the gears and stuff within the speedo were chewed up, and that included the odometer. So God knows when the speedometer failed. So as far as I know, it's got a minimum of 68,000 miles on it. It could have 78,000 miles for all I know. It does run really well, though. I enjoy that crap out of riding that bike. I want to spruce it up. I want to rebuild the suspension. I want to make sure it's good. Steering head wobble on a deceleration from 60 down. The tires are a bit worn on it, so that's probably part of the problem. But since I'm going to be in there, I'm going to do the bearings. I'm going to do everything. Because I had the parts bike, all the handlebars, the triple trees, everything else has been stripped, cleaned, and painted from the other bike. It really pays to have a Kawasaki Concours parts lying around to make things go along quicker. So with that, I'll just take you for a quick tour around what I'm going to be doing, and then we'll start the process. Okay. So today is February 9th, 2019. It's freaking cold out. Got the heater on in the garage. I've just shut it off, though, because it's just so loud. It's a diesel kerosene bullet heater. Just to show you what I'm going to be doing, over here are all the parts I'm going to be replacing. And over here is the other ZG engine that supposedly had an issue with it. But I'll throw a quick snip of it running. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this motor. The compression's fine. Everything is fine on it. Wow! That's something different. I don't think the other Concours runs like that. That's running good. Woo! It actually runs probably a little better than what's on this bike. So that's probably going to be a transplant, but I'm going to say more on the fall. I've already taken the bags off it, so what I'm going to do going forward now is I'm just going to begin the disassembly piece of it. So we'll start the disassembly, and I'll walk you through how I did it and in the order I did it in. I'm not a pro, but I've done this stuff for many years. Let's get started. Okay, so obviously what we're going to do is we're going to start off with no-brainer 101. I'm going to take the seat off. One of the things is I'm going to take probably parts of this bike off that you wouldn't maybe need to. Since I'm doing a half-assed restore and clean on it, I'm going to take the whole front end fairing off. I've seen or heard of people who are able to get in there and do all of that without having to get into it and taking the fairing off. They kind of just work their way in and out and through there, but seeing as how, yeah, I want to take the whole fairing off, cluster everything. So it'll be a tutorial on how to do that too. Just remember, the bike has a right and a left. What you do on the right or what you do on the left, you just reverse it for the right. So there you go. Got the seat off. Next will be the side covers and the tank, etc., etc. So let's get started. I'm going to put this on the tripod. And, well, actually what I'll do is, it's going to be these two bolts, this hose, a connector, another hose inside, and then two lines going to the tank, which is going to be a vacuum line and the fuel line. And then the tank will slide out. So let's put that up on the tripod and get this done. Christmas present from my son. I don't know how I lived without it as many years. I used to have an air-powered one. This one is a electric one. Plenty of torque. Got a little bit of an impact to it. Works fantastic for these kinds of jobs. And let's not forget the elusive 10mm socket. These are the ones that run away. This one runs away. With that said, let's go ahead and pop these bolts off. I'm going to take this line out. Lift this up a little bit. Pull this plug out. Reach in here. Pull that line out. And then we're going to get a little funky. Do that. Now the tank will lift up from the back and out. There you go. Okay, so even though this is no-brainer 101, took the two bolts out. This was the one that was in the back of the tank. This is the one that's under the tank. That's the vacuum line. That's the fuel line. And then the tank went out as I showed you. Okay? So next thing I'm going to want to do is we're going to take this whole cowling off. Now your mileage may vary because this particular bike has all kinds of mishmash bolts. But for an 86 or an 87, I don't know what other years it is, there's a bolt there, a bolt there, a bolt there, there, and there. That'll take all this cowling off. Now underneath here, on both sides, there's a bolt there. In my case, it's a bolt. I believe it's a screw on most bikes, but that's it. When that happens, all of this cowling comes off. I'd show you the other side, but it's exactly the same, so there's no reason to show you the other side. So let me get this on the tripod and start dismantling it. You're going to see me going into different tools, but I believe most bikes, it'll be a Phillips head screwdriver. What I like to do, these are the bolts to the tank. I like to put them back. Some people do, some people don't. Some people keep them with the tank. I put them in the holes. To me, that's important. I don't know if you saw that, but that's what I just did. It is a 10. For fairing support, there's a bar that bolts right here and it goes through. So we're going to go ahead and take that out. So all these guards now come free. And in the case, and in my case, I have, you got a cigarette lighter plug, because I like to put my phone there. I'm going to just unplug it. Some bikes will have it, some bikes will not. My bike has it. I put it on. And that's it. So let's make the other side happen, and then we're moving along. Now I've just unbolted this bottom one, and that bar that I talked about earlier has come free, which is good. I'm going to get this bolt. Throw it in there to keep them safe and unlost. And that's it. Here we go. And here's the bar. That keeps this from flapping. For the next step, looking at all of this, this is the, let me get a flashlight. all of this here is the framework. It bolts down into here, right? And then it bolts here. So in order to get this piece off, right, the whole thing, I'm going to take all of this off. I'm going to need to get rid of these cases on both sides. Again, simple. You know where to go. You're going to take, there's a bolt right here and right there. That takes this cover off. Not much light here. And then there's a bolt there. Okay. Bolt here. A bolt here. A bolt here. As we move to the back, there's a bolt there. There's a bolt there. There's a bolt there. In the case of this bike, and fortunately for me, they're all Phillips. Now, the other side, identical. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that shit now. So next thing we need to do is ultimately, I'm going to take this off, okay? In order to get all throughout all this stuff here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cluster out. Now probably the most annoying piece of this will be harness and going in, because if you're like me and you got a fat hand, just getting up in there is going to be the biggest pain in the ass of all. That's okay. You know what I noticed? I wonder. Okay, so that's it. We're going to do that next. So, next piece of it is going to be the cluster. We're going to take the instrument cluster out of this because it's kind of going to get in the way. Further than that, the instrument cluster, there's a bolt there, and there's a bolt there, and this should all loosen up. The idea will be to just pull the thing forward a little bit, sneak in behind there, and unscrew, or I could actually probably do it from the wheel, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do it from the back. I'm gonna unscrew the speedometer cable, and then we're gonna find the line, which is that one right there. I'm gonna go into probably this one. And there's a plug in there. Actually, I think there's two plugs in there. We just unplug it, and that cluster will just pull right out of there, nice and clean. I'm not exactly sure I'm going to film this, but give it a shot. Let's get in behind here. Easy peasy. Just unscrew the speedo. Okay. Go back to what I was saying with the harness. Pull the plug back. Boom. They're out. This should come right out of here. Take this top fairing out of here. Just because I'm going to take the whole front wheel off. I might as well just take this. I want to look at these hoses. I want to look at a lot of stuff in here. And I want to clean up into the frame area here. Just because it's never been. And while I'm here, I might as well. All this is going to come apart. All of it. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect these harnesses here, which should be everything that goes all throughout here. I'm not going to mark anything because they're very unique. You got red to red. They only fit one plug, and that's it. So we're going to pull that one. And we're going to pull this one. There's one more here. So I showed you earlier, but in here there's a bolt. Okay, that holds the cage. Because you're not going to take the fairing off the cage, you're going to take the cage off the bike with the fairing on it. And then there's a bolt here. Right? Not here. In here. That's the bolt you want. That bolt holds the cage. And that other bolt that you thought I should point to is the fairing to the cage. You don't want that. So the other side, obviously, exact same manner. So it's a bolt here, a bolt there, and a bolt there. And then all of that will separate from the bike. Let's see. It is a 12 mil. Fairing is surprisingly heavy. I'm going to move this over here. And I'm basically going to take the fairing off and put it in front of the bike. All this should come right out. Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. Hold on. See that? It's an upper radiator hose. So I'm going to need to separate. That bolt. It's actually missing a nut. Look at that. We'll fix that on the restore. Hopefully the bushings on the other bike are in better shape. But anyway, I will not be able to get that out. So I'm going to need to separate that and do a slightly forceful bend as it passes over that. I wish I had my kid here. He would help. All right. Rubber grommet. That's what it looks like. So I want to verify that I was not insane. Yeah, that'll come right out now. I should be able to flex past that hose easy. Oops. There you go, naked ZG. Look at that, full access to everything now. Ooh, that's kind of grubby. Pieces you didn't see before. So I'm going to want to get in here and clean up in here too while I'm at it. Discoloration there. And there you go. I'm going to put this on pause, take a break, and continue. Okay, so I have to heat the garage up a little bit. It got cold in here. Took a little break. So next thing I want to do, and I guess it'll be personal preference. Some people may want to take the wheel off first or whatever, but I'm going to take the fender off. Pretty sure I could get to all the bolts. I want to get all the painted surfaces off the bike before I start getting into removal of things. So basically what it is, what I'm going to do here, And I believe these are 6mm hexes. And these are 10 millimeters. I believe they're 10. Nope, they might be 8. These might be 8 millimeters in here. And I believe back here will either be an 8 or a 10. We'll see. I'll get a ratcheting open end on that. So these hex bolts hold on some kind of half-assed fork brace. Alright, so that takes care of this piece. Some kind of half-assed fork brace. I might even think about getting a real fork brace. Maybe like a Hurricane or whatever the hell the brands are. I don't even know. I haven't researched them yet. I've read about them. I just don't remember the names. And a lot of people are happy with them. Might be something when I put this together I might order later and put it on. Whoops. So there's that. Get that up. Yeah, it's 10. That's the wrong direction. And this will get all the painted areas safely away from the work zone. I mean, so far it's been kind of a no-brainer, this assembly, because you take your time and you try to visualize disassembling it before you actually twist the bolt to it, you should be okay. So, the only thing I hung up with was that upper radiator hose. Now that I see it, it's very flexible. It's in excellent shape. That's good to know. I'm going to kind of pinch it in a little bit. Try to walk it out of here. There you go. That's it. Get rid of these clamps. Wow, those are actually loose. Put the screw back. Huh. This side's a little grungy. I bet you there's something up with the caliper. I'm going to be replacing the calipers. I cleaned and put new seals in the calipers from the other bike. Now, one thing I want to talk about a little bit is how these forks work. These are air-filled forks. I think it's this side. There's an air nozzle. And what you do is it does the preload and you pump air into it. And then this piece right here, this is an air passage, and then here there's seals, and when you pump air in here, it equalizes it to this fork, providing that's the side where you pump the air in. So when you take this apart, you loosen that clamp, and obviously your standard clamps. After all this is, but you got to remove the air first. Take the air out of it first, and then you'd remove the forks as you would in the old bike. But yeah, that surprised me on the other one. So looking at the forks, these are the forks I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing an oil change on them too. If you look at the top, that's not it, but that's sort of a dummy. If you look at that one, that's the air nozzle. So you take this out, twing, spring pops out, take the spring out, On this particular year, you take that bolt out, and then you pump these dry, and you fill them up per the instructions that I have in the book that I picked it off the internet. What do you think of that? 3-ring binded and everything. So there you go. I don't have an exact tool to take that front wheel off. I got the other one off. I'm going to try it. If I can't and I'm not comfortable with it, that's going to be a deal breaker. I'm going to stop right there until I can get a proper tool. I got a tool that might work, but I don't know.